Have you ever noticed that when fighting as a devil, Jin Kazama uses more Mishima style moves, while when he fights as himself, he mainly uses the Kazama style karate? Welcome to another video, and in this video I'll give you some cool details that I found about Tekken's Jin Kazama. So let's get started. First things first, Jin was born when Kazuya was supposed to be dead and out of marriage, thus why he received the surname Kazama and not Mishima. Jin is one of the most popular characters in the Tekken universe and is also considered to be the main character since his introduction in Tekken 3. The son of Jun Kazama and Kazuya Mishima, Jin went under Heihachi's guidance when he tragically lost his mother after a battle with Ogre. Number 1. Jin, who was already trained in the Kazama-style karate and the peaceful way of the Kazamas, was kinda forced by Heihachi to develop the ruthless and non-forgiving personality of the Mishimas alongside their Mishima fighting style, all in order to awake the devil Jin with him. Eventually, Jin was betrayed and shot by his grandfather Heihachi, whom at that point he trusted deeply. Despite being the son of the ruthless Kazuya Mishima and also being trained by Heihachi in the ways of an unforgiving man, Jin has managed to maintain the Kazama nature inside him that was passed to him by his mother. Number 2. Jin is altogether different than the Mishimas. I noticed that Jin is not interested in close relations, and here's why. Unlike the Mishimas, Jin does not seek the power of the devil Jin and in fact wants to eradicate it from the world for good. Jin may not show any interest in women because he plans to wipe out his lineage entirely, and he also knows that anyone close to him might suffer or even worse if he ever completely loses control. During Tekken 4, Jin planned to kill his father and grandfather and then himself, dying without children in order to put an end to the Mishima bloodline once and for all. Moving on, Jin abandoned the Mishima style in Tekken 4. If you take a look here, you will notice that his 10-hit combo in Tekken 3, when he was under Heihachi's guidance, is mainly inspired by the Mishima style karate. However, from Tekken 4 onwards, you will see that Jin has abandoned the Mishima fighting style and has instead gone back using the traditional Kazama style. Storyline-wise, this is because he chose to abandon the Mishima style as a symbol that he has rejected the Mishima bloodline and rebel against his grandfather as well as his father. And to add more to that, he went back to the traditional karate his mother once taught him, embracing the calm nature of the Kazamas. However, here is the most cool detail that I found. When Jin is transformed into Devil Jin, he once again makes use of some Mishima style moves. This means that when he is in devil form, Jin struggles to keep himself together and loses control of himself, and thus indulging into the ruthless, evil ways of the Mishima fighting style. Now, technical wise, Jin borrowed Kazuya's moves in Tekken 3 because Bandai Namco meant to replace Kazuya with Jin. But then, because they wanted to bring back Kazuya in Tekken 4, Jin was also given a new moveset. If you combine this with the story reason I mentioned before, then I feel this is indeed a very beautiful detail by the Bandai Namco developers. And that leads us to the next and fifth detail. Devil Jin and Jin Kazama are two different persons. Of course, you already know that Jin can turn into a demon mode known as Devil Jin. Now, you need to know that Devil Jin and Jin Kazama are two different personalities, both of which have their own memories and even their feelings are not the same. But even so, the two of them could still feel the same sensations. Number 6. Jin starts to lose control of the Devil Jin in Tekken 5. By Tekken 5, Jin was losing control of his Devil Jin, which was being triggered by terrible nightmares. This leads him to a journey where he faces his rival Enjipanchi Mishima. After defeating both of them, Jin decides to take over the Mishima Zaibatsu. What makes this so strange is that Jin had never been shown as a character with evil tendencies, but rather than change the family business for the better, he uses them to create even more chaos to further his own goals. This could be explained as his constant struggles always get the better out of him. Number 7. Jin basically deliberately started a world war. As the head of the Mishima Zaibatsu, Jin uses his resources to continue his efforts to get rid of his Devil Jin. To do so, he must awaken an ancient entity known as Azazel. which he accomplishes by starting World War III in Tekken 6. Thousands die in Jin's pursuit of his goal, and he doesn't seem to feel any remorse for his actions. Instead, his uncharacteristic behavior makes him seem possibly even worse than his father. And final detail, Jin gets his best self out at the end of Tekken 7. Due to his actions in the previous game, Jin has a lot of enemies by the time Tekken 7 starts. Now, unsure if his actions achieved his one desire, Jin is a shell of the man he once was. However, even if it seemed as Jin would need to start a long redemption arc over the course of many games, he instead gets to be a hero once again pretty quickly. After awakening from a coma, Jin offers to help Lars, Lee, and Alisa destroy Kazuya, who has become even more powerful after killing Heihachi. This promises an even larger battle on the horizon and a very interesting story in the upcoming Tekken 8. But that potential is undermined by how brief and nonsensical is Jin's redemption in relation to the severity of his crimes. And that's it. This will be my video for Jin Kazama, and in the end, regardless of how players feel about his different story aspects, it is undeniable that Jin has surprised fans over the years, and for better or worse, likely will continue doing so in the future games. Personally, I've always been Team Jin for the bigger part of the Tekken series. What are your thoughts on Jin Kazama? Let us know in the comments down below. If you like this video, then let me know in the comments which character from Tekken you would next like to see some cool details and his story explained. Last, smash like and subscribe. Until the next one, have an amazing time, and I'll see you all later.